arguing that Chevron was in fact the victim, and that the whole trial was some sort of scam. Chevron sought an unfathomable $60 billion in damages, more than 6 times what it owed to the Amazon. Ironically, Chevron tried to prove its charge of corruption by using genuine corruption. Chevron's star witness, Ecuadorian Judge Alberto Guerra,
Right, good afternoon and welcome to Election Focus. We are coming to you from our studios in Abilimpi 48 Swanika Street here in Accra. Today on Election Focus, we are looking at the list of some 37 constituencies in Ghana with a voting population of more than 1 million. Greater Accra alone has about 22 of the 37 constituencies, and Ashanti region has 5 of those constituencies. These constituencies account for about 4.8 million voters, and we are taking, a look at those constituencies within, those regions and all of that. I've been joined in the studio by my colleagues, Gregory Amoah. Greg is the parliamentary correspondent, for Pan-African Television. Also in the studio is Blescoku Alomaso. Blescoku Alomaso is the host of Good Morning Africa right here on Pan-African Television. And also here is Ruben Addo. Ruben Addo is a news editor here at Pan-African Television. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon.
All right. Very well. Thank you.
I hope we are fine.
Very well.
We are
Absolutely.
here again.
Yes.
Well, before I move to Greg, I think Greg has the list of those constituencies that we are going to be looking at. But I'll take, preliminary, views or comments from. I'll start with you, Ruben. Greater Accra region, Ashanti region. We'll go to the constituencies there with specific reference. But your take on how Greater Accra and Ashanti, are going to pan out in the upcoming election.
The Ashanti region, from time immemorial, remains a stronghold of the ruling or governing New Patriotic Party, and they've always been visibly religious.
Okay.
And they go out there, they'll vote massively to make sure that the New Patriotic Party is given the opportunity to control the destiny of this country by formulating policies to better the lot of the citizenry. But over the past years, there seemed to be some disenchantment with the citizenry with regards to how the party has fared. And going into these elections, it will be interesting to see how results will trickle in, so far as the Ashanti region is concerned. The Greater Accra region seems to be one of those swing regions. Their loyalties is torn between these two political parties, but from where I sit, I think that whichever party goes the extra mile by working assiduously in terms of intensifying their electioneering campaign will have the upper hand going into legally anticipated elections slated for December 7th.
Right, I'll come to you, Bless. These constituencies are constituencies, a poll conducted by Global Info Analytics, has placed a specific, should I say reference and all of that on, constituencies that we are to look out for in the upcoming election. And out of the 37 constituencies, Greater Accra has about 22, of them. And Greater Accra contributes to 2.5 million of the 48 million, representing 52%, whilst the Ashanti region contributes about 600,000, representing 12% of the total vote. One thing the poll has also said is that the NDC is leading in 27 out of the 37 constituencies, and MPP leads in 10 out of those constituencies. Your take on this poll emanating from the quarters of Global Info Analytics?
Right. Very good afternoon to our cherished viewers. I'll start by saying that Global Info Analytics has proven to be, a very credible organization or institution as far as the prediction of polling results in Ghana is concerned. And if you look at the predictions that they have made over time, then it means that this is an outfit that you ought to take seriously. And so if they are coming out with this new polls on constituencies with over 100,000 voters,
1 million.
No, over 100,000 voters.
Voters.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, in these constituencies, I think it's something that everybody has to take seriously as well. And if you look at Accra is cosmopolitan in nature. Accra is the capital of the country, and so it's pretty axiomatic that you have a lot of people here, despite the fact that it's a very small region, especially in terms of land mass area. Accra is very small, but then the bulk of Ghanaians are here because this is where the booty is. This is where the opportunities are. If you're not in Accra, then you are shorn of opportunities.
Right.
So, and he says the NDC leads in
27 out of the 37 constituencies.
And this includes the Ashanti region.
Yes.
And so if you look at the Ashanti region as well, I mean, they have a very strong loyalty to the New Patriotic Party. I think aside Asawase, where the NDC controls, the Member of Parliament for Asawase, Muntaka Mubarak, I think he's been there for the past 20 years or perhaps more. And so it's just about that area with persons or with voters who are over 100,000 that the NDC controls. But the others, I think, are in the Greater Accra region. I'm not too surprised. I won't be too surprised if the polls conducted by Info Analytics, turns out to, because I mean, that credibility is there. It's always been there, and then
right,
whatever he says comes to pass, and so I believe it.
Right. Okay. So Greg has the list of these constituencies, those that the MPP is tipped to win, and those that the NDC is also tipped to win. And so, Greg, kindly take us through those constituencies and those that either of the parties is going to be winning.
Right. So, as you said earlier, this is a total of 37 constituencies that have over 100,000 voter population. Now, Greater Accra region has 27. Accra has 22 of them, whereas the Ashanti region has 5. Now, as it stands, we are told that as per the polls, this accounts for some 4.8 million, and Greater Accra has some 2.5 million out of this number. Now, we'll start off with the Ashanti region. Now, these are the first 5, and these are all found in the Ashanti region. This is Kwabiri East. It has a voter population of 145,479, and so it shows that this is the most densely populated constituency in the Ashanti region, and this is where the bank of the NPP, or the vote of the NPP, is expected to come in banks because of the number or the numbers involved in that constituency. So Kwabiri it has a voter population of 145,479, and then the NPP is tipped to win that constituency as far as the presidential election is concerned. Now, then we move on to Achima Kwangoma.
Is that the seat of Francis Forte Mensah?
Yep.
But she's not coming back to Parliament,
Yes,
I guess.
yes,
I mean,
yes,
she's been voted against in their primaries.
Yes. So now we move over to Achima Kwangoma. It also has 120,302. So just if you strike a balance, look at the share numbers between Kwabri East and then Achima Kwangoma. It tells you the numbers involved over there. Also, the NPP is tipped to win over there. Then we move over to Ofori Krom. That is where KNUST is found.
Right.
Now, it also has a population of 116,055 voters. Again, the NPP is tipped to win the presidential election in that constituency. And then we move over to Ejiso. That's the constituency of the late John Kuma. They also has a voter size of 111,350. 111,350. That is also tipped to be won by the NPP. So if you combine all these, this is in the north of 600,000 votes going in favor of the NPP, owing to the numbers over here. And now we move over to Asawase. That is also in the Ashanti region. That's the seat of the Honorable Muntaka Mubarak of the NDC. And there are a total of 108,595 people who are going to vote in that constituency. It is tipped to be taken by the NDC. This is one of the seats occupied by the NDC. This and then the new Edubiasi seat, and then I think Echidumasi seat as well. These are some seats that are occupied by the NDC in that constituency. And so the NDC is tipped to win the presidential election over there. So John Mahama is tipped to win in Asawase, which of course I'm sure does not come as a shock to many people. Now we move to the Bono East region, Techiman South. It has a voter population of 141,002 voters. And so 141,002 voters. So that is another densely populated constituency, and this happens to be my constituency as well, 141,002. Now the NDC is tipped to win the presidential election in Techiman South. That is, if you quite remember, in the last election, it was subject to some disputation that led some loss of life. So John Mahama is tipped to win that as well. Then we move over to the Bono region, Sunyani East. It also has 115,834 voters. The NPP is tipped to win. If for anyone who has followed our analysis, the Bono region is one region that the NPP is tipped to win, owing to the fact that even when it was Brongafo, those parts were loyal to the NPP. Those were blue zones, and so I don't think it comes as a shock that the NPP is tipped to win that seat. Now we move over to the central region in the Ewutu Senya East constituency. Ewutu Senya East. He has a voter population of 172,699. 172,699. The NPP is tipped to win that seat as well. Then we move over to Gomwa East, also in the central region of Ghana. And so it shows that the central region has two such constituencies that have a voter number of more than 100,000. The Bono East region has one, being the Techiman South. The Bono region has one, being Sunyani East. The central region has two thus far. Ewutu Senya East, which has a voter population of 172,699, and then Gomwa East, which has a voter population of 116,046. It is tipped. Gomwa East is tipped to be won by the NDC, whereas Ewutu Senya East is tipped to be won by the NPP as far as the presidential elections are concerned. Now we move over to the Greater Accra region, where most of the, in fact, that is the region that dominates the numbers as far as this is concerned. Now our first stop will be the Dome Kwabenya constituency. Dome Kwabenya, it has a voter population of 182,004. If I'm not mistaken, this should be the most densely populated,
the most popular
seat. Yes. So just as with 182,004 people voting in that constituency, shockingly, John Mahama is tipped to win in that constituency. So I don't know if that comes as a shock to you. I'll come back to you.
It comes as a shock, but I would not be surprised, because if you look at the general economic situation in the country and how people are complaining, if John Mahama wins Dome Kwabenya, I would not be surprised.
I think the parliamentary election is what I'm doubtful as to whether the NDC can unseat or claim the seat from the NPP, especially when the Honorable Adjoa Safo is not in the race again. A new face might do the magic. But John Mahama is tipped to win the presidential election. Now we move over to Ashaiman, also very populated.
Yes.
173,389. Also tipped to be won by the NDC, which of course comes as no surprise. Again, in the Greater Accra region, there's Amasaman, 169,530. Again, it is tipped to be won by the NDC. Adentan, 161,861. Also tipped to be won by the NDC's John Dramani Mahama. Then we move over to Lejokuku, 160,483. That's the total voter population for this year's election. Again, John Mahama is tipped to win in that place as well. Then we move over to Medina, 158,153. Also tipped to be won by John Dramani Mahama. Then we move over to Trobu. Now, Trobu used to be part of Amasaman before it was carved out. It has a voter population of 144,698. It's tipped to be won by the NPP. Anybody who knows Trobu knows it is a blue seat, and so it's not quite shocking that we are seeing that. Then we move over to my very own Anya Sotu, 143,478. It's also tipped to be won by the NPP. And then Pong Katamanso, 136,957. Also, the NDC's John Dramani Mahama is tipped to win the presidential election in that constituency. Now we move over to Tema West, also in the Greater Accra region, 133,564. The NPP's Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is tipped to win that constituency. And then at Blekuma Central, 129,997. The NDC is tipped to win that constituency. Then Dade Kotopon, also with a voter size of 123,848. The NDC is again tipped to win that constituency. At Blekuma North with 120,576. Again, the NDC is tipped to win there. Now, quite shockingly, I also West Wogon, 119,651. The NDC is tipped to win the presidential election in that constituency. Wija Bawi, 118,390. The NDC is tipped to win the presidential election. Botiano English Amanfro has 117,243 registered voters. The NDC is again tipped to win over there. Odododio, 108,485. The NDC is again tipped to win over there. Tema East, it has 107,460 voters. The NDC is again tipped to win that constituency. Then we cross over again to the Ashanti region, where Efija Kwabre South. Initially we did Kwabre East. Now we're doing Efija Kwabre South. It has 106,873 voters. The NPP is tipped to win the presidential election. Then we come over to Krowo, 106,740. The NDC is tipped to win that constituency. So Krowo is in the Greater Accra region. Then we move over to Kole Klote, where it has 103,595. The NDC John Dramani Mahama is again tipped to win that constituency. Then we cross over.
Kole Klote is Honorable Zanata
Rollins' seat. Yes, the NDC's John Dramani Mahama is tipped to win that constituency. And then we cross over to the far part of the Greater Accra region, Nimbo Pram Pram, which has a voter population of 103,216. The NDC is tipped to win that constituency as well. And then we cross up north to Tamale South. That's the seat of the Honorable Haruna Idrisu.
Yes.
It has a total voter population of 123,656. Of course, the NDC is tipped to win that seat. Then we come to the voter region, Ketu South, 145,651. The NDC is again tipped to win. Then we come to Ho Central, also in the voter region of Ghana, 110,000. So the voter region has two of such constituencies who have a voter roll of more than 100,000 people. The northern region has one. That is from the analysis we've done. And so Ho Central, 110,803. The NDC again is tipped to win that constituency. Then we go to the western region, Prestia Huni Valley. That's the constituency of the Honorable Robert Wisdom Kujo. He has a voter population of 144,305. And the NDC is tipped to win that seat. Then, still in the western region, Takwa Inswayem, that's the seat of the Honorable George Mirkuduka. They have a total voter roll of 138,802 people, NDC is tipped to win that constituency. So as far as John Dramani Mahama is concerned for the presidential election. And then we still stay in the western region, and then we cross over to Amenfi East, 100,912 valid voters. The NDC is again tipped to win. And so even outside the Greater Accra region, the North voter region, Western region, all the seats that have 100,000 plus registered voters, John Dramani Mahama is tipped to win in those constituencies. So out of
the 37 constituencies,
yes, John Dramani Mahama is tipped to win 27 out of the 27 out of the 37. John Dramani Mahama's NDC, or NDC's John Dramani Mahama, is tipped to win 27 out of the 37 constituencies around Ghana who have a voter population of more than 100,000 people or more. And so that is the stat over there. So it brings the number to some 2.5 million people, because the total numbers over here are
some 0.8.
Yes.
Okay, 4.8 million, or over 4.8 million.
Yes. And so that is the projection as far as Global Info Analytics is concerned. Their projection as far as constituencies in Ghana that have more 100,000 or more registered voters,
right,
scattered across the country.
Okay. Now, Bless, I'll start with you. With the constituencies mentioned over there, or listed over there, although some are obvious, but with some I have my doubts. I don't know about you.
I have my doubts as well. If you look at, let's go to a constituency like the Wija Gbawe constituency, where it has a voter roll of about 118,390 people, and the NDC has been tipped to win.
To win, yeah.
Well, that would be interesting. If you look at the history of elections held in Wija Gbawe, the NPP have always won. From when I started, getting to know the constituency, I lived there for some time. In 2016, the outgoing, is she the fisheries minister?
No, that's Tinayili Mensa.
The deputy health, yes, Madam Tinayili Mensa.
I think she's outgone now.
Yes, so she contested Obobia in 2016,
and she won.
She won with a with a healthy margin.
Right.
And this is despite the many things that Obubia herself had done in that enclave. I remember she actually supplied the Wija hospital with some polytanks and some medical supplies as well.
Right.
And she especially in the areas that are affected by flood waters, she did a few things for them over there. I think she still has a house in that enclave.
Yes. She does. Yeah.
Yes. There's a place there that has been named after her, Obubia. She lost in that area. She lost in that very area where
against all odds,
where her house is. She lost and constructed some drains so that whenever the dam is spilled, the people there won't be affected. She did all of these things and she still lost. They've always voted for the NPP. I'll be surprised if the result tilts in the NDC's favor completely, especially when it comes to the parliamentary. The presidential, I feel like there's a strong chance for the NDC, despite that it won't be quite a huge margin. But if you look at the parliamentary, I think they've put one lawyer there right now. He's the one contesting now.
But I think it fits into what you're saying, because then this is for only presidential. So I think it even fits into the.
But in order for us to do a proper analysis of the situation, let's look at the presidential for the 2020 election in
Wija Gbawe. If you have it there,
I have it here.
Right.
President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo of a New Patriotic Party garnered 48,133 votes, representing 60.03%, while John Dramani Mahama of the National Democratic Congress had 31,333%, representing 39.08%.
It's a huge gap.
48 over 48,000 as against over 31,000.
Yeah, 31,000. But the voter turnout, I think, was pretty low. If you look at the numbers, well, 48 plus 31, that should be around 79.
Yes.
79. Let's say about 80,000 people, came out to vote. There's still a deficit. If you look at Wijagba's numbers, I think about 38,000 people, nearly 40,000 people did not vote in that election. So yeah, but. So even with the presidential, the NPP has quite a healthy lead over there.
True.
I mean, they won with quite a healthy margin in the 2020 general elections. And so I'll be surprised if the NDC is able to flip that particular seat. Let's look at Botiano English Yaman from
Botiano English Yaman.
That's Sylvester Tete's constituency as well. He's an NPP, member of parliament. He's still the parliamentary candidate for the party as far as that constituency is concerned. And so if this is one of the seats that the NDC would be able to flip in the upcoming polls, I mean, that would be much of a surprise to me. But for me, Wijagba would be a very big surprise. And then
Botiano for me, with what I'm seeing here,
it's close.
It may be possible that John Dramani Mahama can't win Botiano English Yamanfro, because in the 2020 election, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo of a New Patriotic Party had 41,284 votes, representing 51.51%. John Dramani Mahama of the National Democratic Congress had 38,270 votes, representing 47.75%. And so, Musa Dankwa may not be far from the truth if he says that John Dramani Mahama is likely to win that constituency.
That seat could be flipped. I agree. So,
but Greg, what about Domi Kwabenya? NDC has been taped to win Domi Kwabenya.
That's my shock. I mean, in as much as Musa has proven his mettle as far as polling is concerned, I believe owing to numbers and voting trends, anyone who comes across this, especially in Dome Kwabenya, will be shocked. Even though it's not a parliamentary election, everyone will still be shocked. And it will be one coup if the NDC is able to win that election over there. That will be one of the shockers for me in the in Accra. Because even in Accra, there are some places that swing. There are some places the NDC may win or not. But there are some places that are also traditionally not no-go areas for some parties. And so if you tell me, for example, the NPP will win Pram, I have every right to, even though it's a possibility because elections are a game of numbers and sentiments. But at the initial stage, if I'm told that, for example, the NPP is likely to win Pram, it gives rise to some doubt, which is not any mistrust in info analytics prowess as far as polling is concerned, but owing to the numbers that elections tend to churn out, especially in constituencies where a certain party does not only win with huge numbers, but happens to win consistently. It gives rise for some doubt, and so that will be one of the most shocking turnout of this election if John Mahama happens to win.
So now let's go back to 2020 and see what happened in the Dome Kwabenya constituency. And this one, I would love to take your views, Greg and Bless.
78,000.
Yes, the MPP had 78,467 votes, representing 60.58%, and John Mahama had 50,136 votes, representing 38.71%.
So the net gain that John Mahama would need to flip that seat green, even if it's just for the presidential election, will be significant. Because I think there's more than 16,000 votes over there, right?
Yes.
The gap.
28,000.
More than 28,000 actually. So 28,000.
That would be egregious if John Mahama is, with him being in the race, is able to flip. I mean, if he's closing that gap to even 10,000, it will be quite a feat. Now, for him to close 28,000 votes, I mean, if
but you see,
anything,
thing is, Greg, if he's able to maintain his number of votes and he's able to halve that of what the NDC, the NPP is leading with, then he's won the seat.
So that's what I'm saying. It will be quite a
he doesn't need 28,000 votes to win the seat. Well, he only needs about 15,000 of the 28,000 to win.
I agree. But then if in order for him to do that, he would have to eat into a significant number of persons who were probably aligned to the NPP to be able to flip, and that's the thing.
Let's also take into cognizance that the dynamics are likely to change.
Exactly.
What we experienced in 2020 may not be the same that we're going
also,
to
there's a new
candidate.
candidate.
So it's eat into my analogy of, let's say, a place like Ningo. It's a traditional NDC seat, owing to the numbers consistently with which they win. Now, for an NPP candidate to flip that seat, it will then go to give credence to the party's influence in that election itself. And so I'm not doubting John Mahama's ability to win in that seat, or the NDC's ability to win. But I'm saying that it will be one of the shockers of the election, and I believe I'm fortified by the numbers if John Mahama is able to win. Now, I don't know if you can check the trend for me whether the NDC has won in that constituency.
Okay, all right. I'll do so. I'll check it for you. But let me come to you, Ruben. Ruben, your take on these constituencies that have been listed over there.
I'm a bit surprised with what I saw pertaining to Techiman South, the seat of Honorable Martin J.A. Mensah-Kosa, that the NDC would emerge victorious. Then I also saw Ayawaso West Wugon, where we expect to see a rematch between the incumbents Lydia Sarah Malhassan and John Dumelo, that the NDC was going to flip that seat. I'm not quite surprised with some I saw, but with what we are seeing in Dome Kwabenya, it's something we never envisaged. But since we will also not sit here and doubt the credibility of the polls by a reputable outfit like Global Info Analytics.
Quickly, let's. I don't know, Ruben. I'm very sorry to cut you, but from 2004, not only has the NPP won, but just look at the numbers. And so, if John Mahama is able to flip this, and so this is a point I'm making. If John Mahama is able to flip this seat green, I mean, we are grounded by facts and numbers that it will be one of the shockers of the election.
Yes.
One of the shockers, because when it comes to the Greater Accra region, this is a no-go area for the NDC. In fact, what gave the NDC some leverage was some agitation the people had with their MP. That's what gave them some ground. But for that fact, the NDC has no right even trying to win. It's a no-go area for them. Yes, they have no right to try to win this constituency. And so it will be one of the shockers for me. I don't know about you, Bless, Ruben, or Justice, as to who to be a shock for you. But I'll be shocked.
I was looking at the results history and 2005, aside 2005 and 2016, when I think from 2005, the fortunes of the MPP started dwindling. But then in 2016, we saw an upset again, and again in 2020, we see a spiral from 67% to 60.5%. Yes,
but just they are still within
the 60 range,
certain margin.
Yes.
Meaning that if we are to take 10 people, 6 will say we are for the NPP.
Yes,
that is quite some number.
Yes.
That is quite
yes,
some number.
and I think that's from the 2020 results.
Yes.
However, well, for me,
it's possible.
Again,
it is as the NPP say. It is possible.
You know, interestingly, we've actually seen, we've seen we've been on this platform and seen some constituencies that has been flipped with such vote margins.
Even up north.
Yeah.
Even up north.
We've seen constituencies like that. And with everything happening in Dome Kwabenya, they have gone the outgoing member of parliament, the current parliamentary candidate for the MPP. I mean, they don't agree. I don't see the incumbent, supporting the
candidate, the current candidate.
I don't see that happening. There's that friction between them. It's going to be tough. I feel that even if the NPP wins it, it will be marginal. It won't be with the numbers that maybe around 50 something.
Yes,
it will be very difficult for them to enter.
Huge.
Yeah, the apathy would be very huge, and maybe that may work to the benefit of the National Democratic Congress. Yeah.
Now let's look at Aman Saman. Aman Saman has been a seat that
for the NDC.
Yeah, it's for the NDC, except in 2004 and in 2020 that the MPP won. Because if you look at the record here from 2004, 2004 MPP won with 50.1%, 2008 NDC won with 52.0%, 2012 NDC won with 60.7%, 2016 NDC won with 53.1%, and in 2020 MPP won with 50.54%. So I would not be surprised if John Mahama wins Aman Saman this time around, because it has been a seat traditionally for the National Democratic Congress, except in 2004 and 2020.
And so, I mean, aside from Dome and Weja,
can we go through the list? Can we see the list again and see which other constituencies are likely to create some controversies?
I mean, Dome, Kwabenya, Ayawaso West Wogon,
Ablekuma Central.
It's currently occupied by an NDC MP. Yes, the Honorable Dan Abdul Latif, and we saw the numbers the NDC polled in that. The numbers are. Lejokuku.
I mean, not to take anything away.
Yes, 160,483 people are going to vote.
Now, Lejokuku has a history. Nobody has ever occupied the Lejokuku seat twice.
Let's go into
nobody has
the numbers quickly, and then we can paint a picture. Lejokuku.
So let's look at Lejokuku. I think you skipped it. Yep.
Yes, Jay. So this is the
Lejokuku constituency.
If you look at the chart, I mean, between 2004, and this is for the presidential election.
Okay, so the
NDC
wins the presidential.
2004. I think they've won it. They've won it. From 2008. It is the parliamentary that alternates between the
2004 was so close.
Yes,
very close.
And then I think 2016 as well. That was when even John Mahama lost the election.
Yes, 49.3,
but
49.8.
But that the NDC, every time they win, they tend to do well than the NPP. So because if you check 96, they won with 60%. 208, 55, 212, 56, 2020, 53. And so the only time they've won with quite a close margin has been 2016, which of course John Mahama lost the election. If you see the closeness of the margins over here, very, very close over there. And so I won't be too sure.
So MPP won it twice.
2004.
NDC won it 1, 2, 3,
for the presidential election.
5 times. Well, I would not be surprised if John Mahama wins.
I won't be surprised if John Mahama wins it. But and of course, like Greg earlier said, the alternation is in the parliamentary. That's where the MPP wins it, the NDC wins it, the MPP wins it, the NDC wins. So the votes get embloused sometimes.
Yes.
Let's see what happens this time around.
I'd like us to check. Let's make a comment
Is
about.
also West Wogon part of the constituency?
Yes, it is. And
where we are operating from.
Yes.
Can we check that of
our constituency?
Our constituency.
Yes.
Right.
We have a vested interest about that.
Sure.
And so the NDC have won it twice.
Okay.
with 48.6% in 96 and then 49.9 in 2012. So records have shown that every time the NDC have even won, it's very close. But in 2020, Nana Akufo-Addo gets 39,962. John Mahama gets 39,709.
Very close.
So
Very
I mean,
close.
this
So
is
close.
this is res ipsa. If there's anything that is res ipsa as to the validity of the projection, because this is a mere projection. Then, because it is just some
200 and something,
249
to 52 or
yes,
so.
yes, over 200 votes between Nana Akufo-Addo and John Mahama. Now, even if you go back in time to check 2008, it was also keenly contested. In fact, the NPP won with 48.7 after winning it with 54.8 in the previous election. And so I think if there's any constituency that is res ipsa, this should be. I would want to check Ablikuma Central for Bless can finish that comment he made. So Ablikuma Central. Okay.
Yes, that's
so
what
this is also swing as far as the presidential elections are concerned. 51.7% for the NDC in 96. Then NPP wins 2000, 2004 with 58 and 53 respectively. NDC then comes on board to win 2008, 2012, 50, 51.8 respectively. Then the NPP make a comeback and win 52.4. Then the NDC again come, but this time it's a 3,000 margin between John Mahama and Nana Akufo-Addo. And so, bless. I don't also think it's shocking if John Mahama is tipped to win.
It won't be shocking.
I believe in places Nana Akufo-Addo lost in the last election, Dr. Bawumia has to do more to win because the tides are against him. Apathy, incumbency, and all those things are against him. But places John Mahama won, owing to the fact that he's still in the race this time, he has to do only little to cross over and even win with more numbers than he won in the last election. But
very well. Ruben, your take on the constituencies we've discussed so far.
Yes, I think there are a couple of seats the NDC would usually flip, and it will come as no surprise. But there are some which has raised suspicion. For instance, the Techiman South seat. The seat is currently occupied by Martin J.A. Mensah-Kosa. And cited in the Bunu region, I don't.
That should be Bunu East. But Ruben, so the point is that the Bunu East region, even when it was part of the Bungafu region, was the only part of the region that voted green. In fact, the NDC was likely to win in those parts. And so I'm not too shocked because just even if you check the last election, even for the parliamentary election, the numbers are very close. I'm sure that is what led to the agitation that led to the death of loss of some.
As it stands, NDC still believes that
they won that election.
Yes.
And so I want, in fact, the NDC have had some MPs over there. The Honorable Alex Chairman has been one of them, and so
one time the
and I hail from that area. It's a swing, but it's likely to tilt to the NDC more than the NPP as compared to the Bono region, the Wenchi areas, and those areas. Now, I would like us to quickly check Techiman South, Techiman South, to make some. And so, if you check the, in fact, there are no results over here. I don't know if the producers can check the last election over there for us, but just as if you check the trends, NDC wins, NPP wins. NDC wins 3 times on a trot. NPP wins at the time the NPP wins across the country when Nana Akufo defeats John Mahama, so they win that election. The NPP still win in 2020. The producers will have to give us the number. Yes, they win.
But we didn't declare the presidential election.
But
okay, so Techiman South was the place where there was some
There was a
contention.
chaos,
And
there was a
in fact,
chaos situation,
the EC chair said even if they add that
Exactly.
election to that of John Mahama,
It won't change anything.
It
It wouldn't have
likely
changed
that it won't
anything.
change.
Yeah.
But the NPP's PC, being in the person of the Honorable Martin J. Mensah won that election, defeating Christopher Bayre. Yes. And so Techiman South, it could go either way. And so if there's a credible prediction that the NDC could win, I don't think it raises much concern as a place like, for example, Sunyani East would, if they say the NDC win over there, because it has been a religious blue seat.
So let's look at Sunyani East, because NDC has been tipped to win
that
Sunyani East.
So that is in the Bono region. Sunyani East, Bono region. That's the capital of the Bono region. So blue,
Right.
religiously blue,
typical
and
base.
not just blue.
Now let's check the figure.
Look at the numbers.
Blue
Since time immemorial.
52,000. That's the
Did he
last
say the
election.
NDC will win Sunyani East?
No, the NPP wins
NPP
Sunyani East.
Okay.
Yes, and I mean
NPP wins.
yes.
Then I mean it's so clear.
So
it's obvious.
Yes, so
That's
if,
Bafwe, right?
yes. Okay. So if we are to make an analogy here, if for example the NDC is tipped to win this seat, then there's cause for doubt, as I am saying with a place like, for example, Accra, where I'm saying there are some places that the NDC has been tipped to win. That would be quite a shock if they win.
Okay.
A place like this and Kwabre and those areas, the NPP will win. And in fact, maybe their numbers might even be close to the one with which they won in the last election. Yes, and so Bless, I don't know if you'd have.
Yes, I want us to see. I want to find out. Are there no constituencies where? I mean, are there no constituencies that are currently occupied by NDC members of parliament that Musa has tipped the NPP to?
There are not many.
Even if you can find just one.
So
there's none.
So I think that the last time he was here, he alluded to the fact that he had not done extensive work as at that time. I'll go through his post so that we educate our viewers on that. But I think the previous one that I think last month or so, I saw one poll of his about the parliamentary election, and even there are not so many. And that's why I'm saying that, without being partisan, without being biased, the tide is against the NPP going into this election. And so if you're an NPP PC, especially in an area where the NPP is not very dominant, the tides are against you because of apathy and a whole lot of issues, and also owing to the fact that Ghanaians usually tend to vote on a 8-year cycle unless you are in a stronghold. And so I mean, I'm not too shocked if the NDC PCs are more likely to win, and that John Mahama is more likely to sweep some of these areas.
Let's try and then get Musa Dankwa so that he tells us what went into this research, why he thinks that the NDC is likely to win the constituencies he's listed, and then the MPP would also win those constituencies that he has indicated that they are winning. I think that will give us more insight, into some of these things. Ruben, so let's look at the constituencies that are obvious for both NDC and MPP. Just those that are not. Amenfi East, Tafa and Swayam.
Okay, so let's take. I know the parliamentary election was one of the closest in recent time. Very close.
Right.
Very, very close. But I'm sure the presidential election would tell quite a different story. Because I know there were some recounts over there before the Honorable managed to win that seat.
It was just about a little over 3,000 votes, of like close to 4,000
votes. The same applies to the
now,
time
religious blue seat. Bless. Religious. 61, 66, 70, 58, 53, 66, 62. But for 2012, one would have thought that the numbers were dropping. This time around, it comes to 51. So there's a little over 5,100 votes between John Mahama and Nana Akufo-Addo. But the question then is 5,000 a significant number to create a buffer for a candidate in any election, especially when you're not the same face on that, you know, in that election? Is 5,000 votes a significant margin? Is it a buffer for the NPP? Because now, from 96 to 2020, the NPP have won. But this year, Musa Dankwa is tipping John Mahama to trounce Dr. Bawumia and the NPP in Takwa Inswaye. In the previous election, there was a 5,100 plus margin between the NPP's Nana Akufo-Addo and then this is John Mahama. So then it begs the question, is 5,000 votes and a buffer enough to say that there's doubt as to whether the NDC is likely to win the presidential election in that constituency?
If you ask me, the NPP should not be too comfortable in the Takwa Israel constituency, because anything can happen. We've seen situations where people, yes, people have won with more than 5,000. They have flipped more than 5,000 votes and all of that. And so, I'll tend to agree with Musa Dankwa. I don't know the work NDC has done in that constituency. I don't know why Musa Dankwa is saying that NDC is likely to flip, Takwa Israel constituency. But if you look at the numbers and the fact that they have dropped from about 62.8% to 51.84%. If NDC puts in more work, they are likely to flip Takwa Israel constituency, especially when the wind of change is blowing everywhere, and everyone is looking forward for this government to be voted against. And so, well, that is my opinion anyway. I don't know.
Everyone,
my hands are up. I don't want to say anything.
In the midst of this, some people are still defiant. I mean, they won't give up.
I think we need to be fair when we are making these things. And not as if anyone is being partisan or biased. But that has been the trend. After 8 years, no government has been able to break the 8. So it becomes a record if the NPP actually is able to break the 8. And so if you are going by the records and the numbers, it's more likely that the NDC wins, especially with the apathy having traveled around the country and those things. I mean, I think it's not entirely out of place, especially with these polls, that of EIU, that of Fitch, coming into effect. It's not. I don't think it's partisan. Yes, I don't think it's partisan if anybody makes that. Those
Our time is up. We should be going, but I'll take your last words, Bless, and then Ruben. Bless.
It's some 12 days more to the elections. I'm waiting with bated breath. All of us are. Election Focus will continue to bring our viewers that. And then, with regards to what we've spoken about today, like I said, to some extent, I trust Musa Dankwa's position on these polls, and so I mean, I won't be too surprised when everything he has predicted pans out to be so. I mean, that's all I'll say.
Right, Ruben. On December 7, 2024, the sovereign will of the people will ultimately reign supreme.
So I'm using this medium to make a passionate appeal to Ghanaians that let's go out there and exercise our civic duty. We know at the end of the day, some will bask in euphoria, others will gnash their teeth. Yep. But in the midst of all these, Ghana would ultimately be the winner.
Right, thank you so much, Ruben. That was Ruben Ado. Ruben is a news editor here at Pan African Television. Bless Koku Alomaso. He's the host of Good Morning Africa right here on Pan African Television, and then Greg Amwa is a parliamentary correspondent. This is our time will allow us on the program. Make a time with us. Same time tomorrow. My name is Justice Appiah. Have a lovely afternoon. Goodbye.